A drug lord kidnapped the Mafia boss's 5-year-old daughter to extort $2 million. But what Carter Ghost Page did next made every criminal in the city fear him forever. That morning, Kate had kissed Carter's cheek and whispered, "Love you, Daddy," before skipping into St. Michael's Academy. It was the last normal moment of his life. The call came at 4:23 p.m. "Carter, she's gone!" Elena's voice shattered through the phone, raw with terror. "Kate never came out of school. They can't find her." Carter's world stopped. His daughter. His 5-year-old daughter. "I'm coming," he said, his voice deadly calm even as his hands started shaking. He hung up and looked at Vincent. Kate's missing. Within minutes, Carter's black Mercedes was tearing through the city, breaking every speed limit. His phone was already blowing up, 20 of his men mobilizing without being asked. That's what family meant in his world. When he arrived at the school, Elena was sobbing in the headmistress's arms. Security footage showed Kate walking toward the side gate with her pink backpack. Then nothing. The cameras had been disabled. This wasn't random. This was planned. They found her backpack in the bushes near the perimeter fence. Carter's hands trembled as he picked it up. Inside were her crayons, her juice box, her homework folder. Her stuffed rabbit, Mr. Whiskers, was missing. Vincent's eyes met Carter's. They both knew what that meant. 6 months ago, after a threat against the family, Carter had sewn something into that rabbit. Something that could find his daughter anywhere in the world. "Track it," Carter ordered, his voice ice. Vincent pulled out his phone, accessing the encrypted signal. His face went pale. "She's moving, east, toward the docks." The docks, Sean Evans's territory. Everything clicked into place. 3 weeks ago, that tattooed punk had walked into Carter's office demanding a partnership, wanting to use Page family shipping routes to move his drugs. Carter had refused. Told him to get out. Warned him never to come back. Now, Sean had his daughter. Carter's phone rang. Unknown number. "Missing something, Ghost?" Sean's voice dripped with mockery. Carter's jaw clenched. "Where is she?" "Safe. Scared. Crying for Daddy." Sean laughed. "You disrespected me, old man. Treated me like I was nothing. Now you're going to give me everything. The Westport operations, $2 million cash, and your public surrender. You have 48 hours. "I'm going to kill you," Carter said softly. "You're going to do exactly what I say, or Katie's last memory will be begging you to save her." The line went dead. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support helps us keep these stories alive. And trust me, the best part is yet to come. Now, let's get back to it. Vincent was already pulling up surveillance. The trackers stopped. Warehouse complex on the East Docks. That's his fortress. 80 men, heavy weapons, corrupt cops on his payroll. Carter stared at the screen, showing his daughter's location deep in enemy territory. Kate, his little girl. Alone. Terrified. He thought about her kiss that morning. Her whisper. "Love you, Daddy." "Call everyone," Carter said, his voice cold and final. "Every soldier, every captain, every family that owes us a favor." Vincent looked up. "Boss, if we go to war..." "He took my daughter." Carter's eyes were dead, emotionless, the look of a man who'd already decided how this ended. "There is no if. There's only how many of them die before I get her back." He checked his pistol and started walking towards the door. "Get me everything on Sean Evans's operation. Every building, every guard, every weakness." Tonight, the East Docks would burn. 23 black vehicles converged on Carter's private warehouse within the hour. Captains from every crew. Soldiers who'd been with the family for decades. Men who'd kill without question when the word came down. Carter stood at the head of the long table, the tablet in front of him showing Kate's location, a blinking red dot that hadn't moved in 40 minutes. Warehouse 7, deep in Sean Evans's territory, surrounded by his soldiers, his drugs, his empire. "Talk to me," Carter said to Vincent. Vincent pulled up surveillance feeds on the main screen. "Sean's got the entire East Dock complex locked down. We count 80 men minimum, armed sentries rotating every 4 hours, guard towers at each corner. He's been building this fortress for 6 months. Michael, the consigliere, leaned forward. "He's got Captain Rodriguez from the 14th Precinct on payroll. First sign of trouble, Rodriguez sends patrol cars to block every approach. We'd be fighting cops and criminals." "Then we remove Rodriguez first," Carter said coldly. "There's more." Vincent switched to another feed. "Sean's got connections to City Councilman Drake. That's how he got the building permits, the import licenses. He's not just a drug dealer anymore. He's got legitimate power backing him." Carter stared at his daughter's location on the screen. Kate was in that building right now. Scared. Alone. Probably crying. He thought about tucking her into bed last night, how she'd made him read her favorite story 3 times, how she'd fallen asleep holding his hand. "Boss," one of the younger soldiers spoke up nervously. "Sean's crew, they're ex-military, trained. We go in hot, people die. A lot of people." "Good," Carter said, his voice empty of emotion. "Let them." The room went silent. Vincent cleared his throat. "We need a plan. Sean's expecting us to come angry and stupid. That's what he wants. A bloodbath that brings every cop in the city down on both families." Carter's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. A photo message from an unknown number. His heart stopped. Kate. Sitting on a yellow chair in a dark warehouse, tears streaming down her face, her yellow dress dirty. She looked so small, so terrified. The message below read, 48 hours, TikTok, ghost. Carter's hands tightened around the phone until his knuckles went white. Every man at the table saw his face and understood. They were looking at a father who'd already decided how many bodies it would take. "Vincent," Carter said quietly, "how many families can we call?" "For something like this? For a child?" Vincent calculated. "Everyone. Even the families we've had problems with. Nobody touches a 5-year-old. It's the one line nobody crosses." "Then call them all." Carter looked up, his eyes dead and cold. "I don't care about territory agreements. I don't care about old beefs. Tonight, every family in this city moves as one. And when we're done, there won't be enough of Sean Evans left to bury." Michael stood. "I'll reach out to the Trentinos. Marco owes us from the Castellano situation." Carter nodded. The Trentinos were rivals, but they were also fathers. They'd understand. "What about the FBI?" Vincent asked carefully. "Later," Carter said. "First, I want to know every entrance to that warehouse, every guard position, every weakness." He looked at the photo of Kate again, at her frightened eyes. 48 hours, he whispered. Sean thinks he has 48 hours. He looked up at his men. "He has until midnight." Vincent pulled up everything they had on Sean Evans. The face that filled the screen was younger than Carter expected. 32 years old, sharp features, cold eyes that had seen violence early. Tattoos crawled up his neck like serpents. "Started as a street dealer in the Bronx at 15, Vincent read from the file. "Did 3 years in Rikers for assault. Got out and disappeared for 2 years. We think he was running drugs in Mexico, learning from the cartels. Came back different, smarter, ruthless." Carter studied the surveillance photos. Sean in expensive suits. Sean meeting with city officials. Sean's crew executing a rival dealer in broad daylight. The kind of message that made people afraid to even whisper his name. 6 months ago, he started pushing into our West Side territory, Michael added. Small moves at first, a warehouse here, a distribution point there. We warned him off twice. He ignored us. "Because he's been planning this," Carter said, the pieces clicking together. "The expansion wasn't about drugs. It was about positioning, getting close enough to strike. Vincent nodded. He's been studying you, boss. Your routines, your family, Kate's school, the pickup times, the security gaps. This wasn't impulse. This was calculated. Carter's jaw tightened. Sean had been watching his daughter, following her, planning how to take her. His crew is loyal because he pays triple what anyone else does, Vincent continued. Ex-military, ex-cops, guys with nothing to lose. He's built an army in 6 months. The burner phone on the table rang. Everyone froze. Carter answered without speaking. Ghost. Sean's voice was smooth, almost friendly. I assume you got my photo? Your little girl looks scared, doesn't she? Keeps asking when Daddy's coming. Carter's knuckles went white, gripping the phone. What do you want? Everything. Sean laughed. The Westport operations. Every shipping route, every warehouse, every contact you have. I want the distribution network you spent 20 years building. And I want $2 million in cash as an apology for disrespecting me when I came to you like a professional. You're insane if you think... I think you love your daughter more than your pride, Sean cut him off. I think you'll give me whatever I want because the alternative is Katie ending up in a shipping container headed to Montenegro. You know what happens to pretty little girls over there, Ghost? They disappear. Forever. Carter's blood went ice cold. Trafficking. Sean wasn't just threatening to kill Kate. He was threatening to sell her. You have 48 hours, Sean continued. Tomorrow night, midnight, you bring signed documents transferring port operations to my LLC. You bring the cash, and you come alone to the old cannery on Pier 19 to hand it over personally. If I see one of your soldiers, if I smell a setup, Katie goes on a boat, and you never see her again. How do I know she's alive? The phone shifted. Then a small, terrified voice. Daddy? Carter's world shattered. Kate, baby, it's okay. Daddy's coming. Daddy, I'm scared. I want to go home. Please! The phone pulled away. Kate's crying faded into the background. 48 hours, Ghost, Sean said. Tick-tock. The line went dead. Carter stood frozen, his daughter's voice echoing in his head. The fear in it. The way she'd begged him. Boss? Vincent said quietly. Carter looked up, and every man in that room saw something terrifying. A father who'd just heard his child cry for help, and a monster who was about to burn the world down to save her. Get me everything on Sean's operation, Carter said, his voice deadly calm. Every property, every vehicle, every person who works for him, and find out who else he's hurt, who else he's taken. Why? Michael asked. Because I'm not just getting Kate back, Carter said. I'm ending him, completely. And I want to know every crime, every victim, every sin, so when I'm done, no one will mourn what's left of him. Before we dive deeper, drop a like if you're still here, because I promise, the rescue hasn't even begun. The surveillance drone launched from a van 2 blocks away, its nearly silent rotors carrying it over the East Dock complex at 2 a.m. Vincent controlled it from the tablet, the infrared camera painting the warehouses in shades of green and white. Carter watched the feed over his shoulder. Kate's GPS signal pulsed from Warehouse 7, the largest building in the complex, positioned in the center like a fortress keep. 20 guards on the perimeter, Vincent narrated, marking each heat signature on the screen. Another 15 on rooftops, rotating patrols every 30 minutes. They've got overlapping fields of fire on every approach. The drone swept lower, capturing details. Chain link fencing topped with razor wire, reinforced steel doors, security cameras at every corner. Sean had turned this place into a military compound. There, Vincent zoomed in on the main warehouse, guard tower on the northwest corner, sniper position with clear sightlines to every entrance. 2 more towers on the south side. Michael stood behind them, arms crossed, studying the layout. He's got the 14th precinct on speed dial. We start shooting. Rodriguez sends 20 patrol cars to box us in. We'd be fighting a war on 2 fronts. How many inside the main building? Carter asked. Vincent switched to thermal imaging, trying to penetrate the walls. The readings were scattered, uncertain. Hard to tell. 30, maybe 40. Could be more in the interior rooms where the signal can't reach. Carter did the math. 80 men minimum, military trained, heavily armed, dug into defensive positions with clear advantages. "It's a fortress, boss," Michael said quietly. "We go in loud. We lose 30 men before we even reach the main building. And Kate's in there. Crossfire, chaos. Sean could kill her the second he hears gunshots." "Then we don't go in loud," Carter said. Vincent looked up. "A stealth approach? Boss, there's no way to move enough men past those patrols. Even at night, even with the best timing, they'd spot us." Carter studied the screen, his mind working through scenarios. Every direct approach ended in bloodshed. Every clever infiltration plan risked Kate's life if something went wrong. "Pull back the drone," he said finally. "I need to see the entire district, every building, every street, every access point within a mile of that warehouse." Vincent complied, lifting the drone higher. The view expanded. The warehouse complex sat in an industrial zone, surrounded by abandoned factories and empty lots. Only 2 roads led in, both easily monitored. "Sean picked this location perfectly," Michael muttered. "He can see us coming from any direction. It's a kill box." Carter's phone buzzed. Another message from Sean's burner, a video file. He pressed play, his stomach tightening. Kate sat in that yellow chair, still wearing her dirty yellow dress. A man's tattooed hand appeared in frame, gently touching her hair. She flinched. "Daddy's taking too long, sweetheart," Sean's voice said off-camera. "Maybe he doesn't love you enough to save you." "He does!" Kate cried. "Daddy loves me! He's coming!" "We'll see," Sean said. 44 hours left. The video ended. Carter's hands shook with barely controlled rage, that hand touching his daughter. Kate's terrified defense of him, the cruel psychological torture. "Boss," Vincent said carefully, "Michael's right. A direct assault is suicide. We need another approach. Maybe we negotiate. Give him something to buy time while we—" "No." Carter's voice was ice. "I'm not giving him anything. And I'm not waiting 44 hours. He looked at the warehouse complex on the screen, at the fortress Sean had built. "We don't have the strength to break through," Carter said. "So we find allies who'll help us burn it to the ground." Michael's eyes widened. "You're going to call the Trentinos?" "And others," Carter said. "Everyone." The meeting happened in a closed Italian restaurant in Queens, neutral territory that belonged to neither family. Carter arrived with Vincent. Marco Trentino came with his nephew, Luca, a stone-faced enforcer who'd killed 3 of Carter's men during the warehouse wars of 2019. They sat across from each other at a table in the back, the tension thick enough to choke on. 20 years of bad blood, territory disputes, deaths on both sides, a truce that existed only because full-scale war would destroy them both. Marco was older than Carter, silver-haired and dressed like he'd come from the opera. His eyes were cold, calculating. "This better be worth breaking protocol, Ghost. We don't do face-to-face meetings." "Sean Evans kidnapped my daughter," Carter said flatly. Marco's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. He had grandchildren. 3 of them. "I heard rumors," Marco said carefully. 5 years old?" 5. Carter slid his phone across the table, showing the photo of Kate on the yellow chair. "He wants the West Port and $2 million. If I don't surrender everything in 43 hours, he sells her to traffickers." Marco studied the photo, his jaw tightening. Whatever else he was, criminal, killer, ruthless businessman, he was also a grandfather. Some lines even monsters didn't cross. "You have my sympathy," Marco said, sliding the phone back. "But that doesn't explain why you're here. Because Sean's fortress has 80 men and corrupt cops protecting it. I go in alone. I lose. Kate dies." Carter leaned forward. "But Sean's been expanding into your territory too. The South Docks, the trucking routes through Jersey. He's coming for both of us." Marco's eyes narrowed. Keep talking. The East Side complex, Carter said. After tonight, it's open territory. We split it 50-50. Warehouses, shipping lanes, distribution points. Everything Sean built becomes ours. In exchange for? 70 men. Your best soldiers. We hit him together. One coordinated strike that cuts through his defenses before he knows what's happening. Luca leaned in, whispering urgently in Italian to his uncle. Marco waved him off. You're asking me to go to war alongside my enemy, Marco said. To trust you won't turn those guns on my men once Sean's dead. I'm asking you to eliminate a threat that's coming for both our families, Carter countered. Sean's young, ambitious, and reckless. He thinks the old rules don't apply to him. He takes children. If we let him win, if he gets away with this, every young punk in the city will think they can challenge us the same way. Marco was silent, thinking. His fingers drummed once on the table. This isn't about Kate anymore, is it? Marco said quietly. This is about sending a message. It's about both, Carter said. I get my daughter back alive. We both get rid of a problem that's only going to get worse. And everyone in this city remembers what happens when you break the rules. Marco looked at Luca, then back at Carter. 50-50 split, everything in writing. And when this is over, we go back to our corners. Agreed. Marco extended his hand across the table. Carter took it. The handshake of two men who hated each other, united by something they hated more. When do we move? Marco asked. Tonight, Carter said, before Sean realizes what's coming. Vincent was coordinating with the Trentino lieutenants outside the restaurant when a black sedan pulled up. Not one of theirs. The driver's side window rolled down, revealing a man in his 40s with tired eyes and a federal badge. Vincent DeLuca? The man said. I need 5 minutes. It's about Sean Evans. Vincent's hand moved toward his weapon. Who the hell are you? FBI Special Agent Thompson. He held up his credentials. And before your boss puts a bullet in me, you should know I'm the only reason Kate Page is still alive. That got Vincent's attention. He signaled his men to hold position and approached the car cautiously. Talk fast. Thompson glanced toward the restaurant. I've been building a case against Sean Evans for 18 months. Drug trafficking, racketeering, corruption. But every time I get close, someone tips him off. Someone with a badge. Not my problem, Vincent said. It is now, Thompson replied. Because the reason I couldn't move on Sean's warehouse is Captain Rodriguez and 4 other officers from the 14th Precinct are on his payroll. The second your boss starts a war, Rodriguez will send patrol cars to surround the complex. You'll be fighting cops and criminals, and that ends with everyone dead, including Kate. Vincent's jaw tightened. What do you want? I want Sean. I want Rodriguez. I want the whole corrupt network exposed. Thompson pulled out a tablet showing surveillance files. I can give you building layouts, guard rotations, communication frequencies, real-time intelligence that'll save your men's lives, and I can make sure Rodriguez and his dirty cops are occupied when you make your move. In exchange for what? In exchange for you making enough noise that I can justify federal intervention. You expose the corruption, Rodriguez protecting a kidnapper, cops on cartel payroll, and I come in with arrest warrants. Thompson's eyes were hard. Sean's lawyers have buried me 3 times. This time I need him caught red-handed with evidence even his lawyers can't spin. Vincent studied the agent. Why do you care this much? Thompson's face darkened. 2 years ago, Sean killed my partner, made it look like a suicide, planted evidence of gambling debts, depression. Tom had 3 kids. His widow still doesn't know the truth. He looked Vincent in the eye. I can't bring Tom back, but I can make sure Sean Evans never walks free again. Vincent pulled out his phone, calling Carter. Boss, you need to hear this. 10 minutes later, Carter stood face to face with Thompson in the parking lot. The surveillance files spread across the hood of the sedan. You're asking me to trust a Fed, Carter said. I'm asking you to let me help you save your daughter, Thompson corrected. I give you the intelligence. You execute the operation. I come in after the shooting stops and arrest everyone left standing, including the dirty cops who've been protecting him. Carter looked at the files. Detailed layouts of Warehouse 7, guard schedules, communication protocols, information that would save lives, save Kate. "You get your corruption case," Carter said finally. "I get my daughter. But if this is a setup, if you try to arrest my men—" "It's not," Thompson said. "Tonight, I'm not FBI. I'm just a man who wants justice for his partner. Tomorrow morning, I go back to being a federal agent. That's the deal." Carter extended his hand. "Then we have a deal." Thompson shook it, then handed over the tablet. "Rodriguez and his crew rotate shifts at midnight. That's your window. I'll make sure they're at the precinct when you move, reviewing case files that'll take hours. By the time they realize what's happening, it'll be too late." Carter studied the warehouse layout one more time. Between the Trentino's soldiers and Thompson's intelligence, the fortress was starting to look vulnerable. "Midnight," Carter said. "We end this." The war room filled with soldiers from 3 different organizations: Page family captains, Trentino enforcers, and Thompson's hand-picked FBI team. The warehouse layout dominated the main screen, marked with entry points and defensive positions. Carter stood at the head of the table. "We move at midnight. 3 simultaneous operations." He pointed to the screen. Phase 1. Thompson's team raids the 14th precinct at 11:45 p.m. Rodriguez and his dirty cops get arrested before they can warn Sean. That eliminates our law enforcement problem. Thompson nodded. "We'll have them in custody within 10 minutes. No phone calls, no warnings." Phase 2. At 11:55, Trentino's team cuts power to the entire dock complex. Carter looked at Luca. "Kill the generators too. I want complete darkness. No lights, no cameras, no communications." Luca smiled coldly. "Consider it done." Phase 3. At midnight exactly, the Page family breaches from the north. Warehouse 7, 6 entry points, overwhelming force. Carter traced the approach routes on the screen. "We go through them fast and hard. No mercy, no hesitation." Vincent was quiet, studying the plan. Then he spoke up. "Where are you in all this, boss?" Carter met his eyes. "I'll be inside already." The room erupted in protests. "That's suicide. He'll kill you on sight. Boss, you can't—" Carter raised his hand, silencing them. "At 11:30, I drive to the old cannery on Pier 19, alone, like Sean demanded. I bring the documents, the cash, everything he asked for." "He'll execute you the second you walk in," Vincent said, his voice tight with anger. "This is insane." "No," Carter said calmly. "Sean's young, hungry. He doesn't just want my territory. He wants my reputation. He wants to make me kneel in front of his men. He wants to humiliate the ghost before he kills me." Carter's eyes were cold. "That takes time, and while he's busy gloating, you'll be moving into position." Michael shook his head. "It's too risky. If the timing's off by even 2 minutes—" "Then I die," Carter said flatly. "But Kate lives. That's all that matters." Vincent slammed his hand on the table. "And if he doesn't take the bait? If he just shoots you and moves Kate to a new location?" "He won't," Carter said, "because I'm bringing him what he wants. Proof that he broke the ghost. That's worth more to him than a bullet. His ego won't let him pass that up." The room was silent. Everyone knew Carter was right. They also knew he was betting his life on reading a psychopath correctly. "I wear a wire," Carter continued. "You hear everything. The moment he tells me where Kate is, the moment you have confirmation she's in that building, you move. Not before." Vincent's jaw clenched. "I don't like this." "You don't have to like it," Carter said. "You just have to execute it perfectly." He looked around the room at the assembled soldiers, men who'd sworn loyalty to families that had been enemies for decades, now united for one night. 38 hours ago, Sean Evans made a mistake," Carter said quietly. "He thought taking my daughter would make me weak. Instead, he united every family in this city against him." He picked up his weapon, checking the magazine. "Tonight, we show him what happens when you break the only rule that matters." Carter's black Mercedes rolled up to the old cannery at 11:52 p.m. 20 of Sean's men surrounded the entrance, assault rifles trained on him. He stepped out slowly, hands visible, wearing the wire under his shirt. "I'm here to negotiate," Carter called out, like he asked. One of Sean's lieutenants, a scarred man with dead eyes, patted him down roughly, finding nothing. The briefcase Carter carried held only documents and cash. No weapons, no tricks. "He's clean," the lieutenant said into his radio. "Send him in." They walked Carter through the dark cannery, past more armed guards, down a hallway that smelled of rust and salt water. At the end, a steel door opened into the main warehouse space. Sean sat on a metal chair in the center of the room, relaxed, one leg crossed over the other. His expensive teal suit looked out of place in the industrial setting. 20 more soldiers lined the walls, weapons ready. And behind Sean, 15 feet away, sat Kate. Carter's breath caught. His little girl on that yellow chair, her dress dirty and torn, her face streaked with tears, but alive. She looked up when he entered, her eyes going wide. "Daddy." "Quiet, sweetheart," Sean said without looking back. He smiled at Carter. "The ghost himself. I'm honored you came alone." Carter's hands tightened on the briefcase handle. Every instinct screamed to rush forward, to grab his daughter. But 40 guns would cut him down before he took 3 steps. "I brought what you asked for," Carter said, his voice controlled. "I'm sure you did." Sean stood, walking slowly toward him. "You know what I love about this moment? 20 years you've controlled this city. 20 years of everyone whispering your name in fear. And now look at you. Broken, surrendering, begging for mercy. I'm not begging. Not yet." Sean circled him like a predator. "But you will. Because this is the new order, Ghost. The old families, dinosaurs, your codes, your traditions, your respect, dead. I take what I want. I do what I want. And men like you kneel." Sean's men laughed. Carter glanced at his daughter. She was crying silently, trying to be brave. "The Westport operations," Sean continued. "The shipping routes, the distribution network. Sign it all over to me, and maybe, your daughter goes home instead of on a cargo ship to Eastern Europe." Carter reached for the documents in his briefcase. As he did, he checked his watch. 11:57 p.m. "You really think you've won?" Carter said quietly. "I know I have." Sean grabbed the papers, scanning them. "You're finished, old man. After tonight, everyone will know the ghost bowed to—" Carter smiled. "Did you hear that?" Sean paused. "Hear what?" "Nothing," Carter said. "That's the point." Sean's face changed as he realized the generators had stopped humming. The warehouse went pitch black. Outside, shadows moved toward every entrance. Inside, Carter dropped to the floor as the windows exploded inward. Flashbang grenades detonated through every window. The warehouse erupted in blinding white light and deafening noise. Sean's men stumbled, disoriented, reaching for weapons they couldn't see to aim. Then the doors exploded inward. 150 soldiers poured through 6 entry points simultaneously. Page family from the north, Trentinos from the east and west, coordinated crews from allied families hitting the remaining sides. They moved like a military unit, night vision goggles turning the darkness into green-lit clarity. Sean's men never had a chance. Gunfire erupted in controlled bursts. Page soldiers advanced in formation, overwhelming defensive positions before Sean's crew could organize. The Trentino enforcers flanked from the sides, cutting off escape routes. Sean's forces crumbled under the coordinated assault. 80 men who'd thought they were safe in their fortress, now trapped in a kill box. 90 seconds. That's how long it took to break Sean's army. Carter stayed low during the initial breach, crawling toward Kate's position. Through the chaos of gunfire and shouting, he could hear her crying. "Kate!" he shouted. "Kate, it's Daddy!" Vincent's extraction team reached her first, 4 soldiers forming a protective shield around the yellow chair. Vincent scooped Kate up, wrapping her in a tactical blanket. "I got her, boss," Vincent yelled into his radio. "She's alive, moving to extraction point." They disappeared through a side door, heading for the tunnel exit Thompson's intelligence had revealed. Kate was safe. Out of the line of fire. Carter stood up, scanning the warehouse through the chaos. Where was Sean? He spotted movement near the back office, a figure in a teal suit running for an exit. Carter sprinted after him, vaulting over bodies, pushing through the smoke and confusion. Sean burst through the office door into a loading bay. His car was there, engine running, driver waiting. He was 10 feet from escape when Carter tackled him from behind, both men crashing to the concrete. Sean rolled, pulling a knife from his ankle holster. He slashed wildly. Carter caught his wrist, twisting until bones cracked. The knife clattered away. "You're dead!" Sean screamed, his composure shattered. "You're all dead. Rodriguez is in FBI custody," Carter said coldly, pinning him down. "Your cops can't save you. Your army's gone. You're alone." Vincent appeared with zip ties. They bound Sean's hands and feet while he thrashed and cursed. FBI vehicles rolled up outside, sirens wailing. Thompson emerged with a team of agents, surveying the carnage. Bodies everywhere, Sean's operation destroyed. "Special Agent Thompson, FBI," he announced formally for the recording devices. "Sean Evans, you're under arrest for kidnapping, drug trafficking, corruption, and—" "Wait," Carter said. Thompson looked at him. "Wait." Carter grabbed Sean by the collar, dragging him toward a shipping container in the corner of the loading bay. Soundproof. Isolated. 15 minutes, Carter said. "Like we agreed." Thompson checked his watch, then nodded slowly. "My team needs to secure the perimeter. We'll be back in 15 minutes to process the suspect." He walked away, taking his agents with him. Carter threw Sean into the container and sealed the door. In the darkness, Sean whimpered. "Please, I'll give you anything." "You touched my daughter," Carter said quietly. Then he went to work. Sean Evans sat in his cell at ADX Florence, staring at concrete walls 23 hours a day. Life without parole. Solitary confinement for his own protection after the second attack. An inmate with Page family connections had shattered his jaw with a lock in a sock. The first attack left him with broken ribs and a collapsed lung. The guard said it was random violence. Sean knew better. Every day he woke up was a reminder that Carter Page's reach extended even here into the most secure prison in America. He'd never know peace, never know safety. For the rest of his life, he'd look over his shoulder, waiting for the next attack. Some fates are worse than death. 3 months after that night, the East Side docks looked different. Page and Trentino crews worked side by side, managing shipments and distribution routes with an efficiency that came from shared purpose. The decades-long war between the families had ended not with destruction, but with alliance. Marco Trentino stood beside Carter at the demolition site, watching the last of Warehouse 7 come down. 50-50, Marco said. "Like we agreed." "Like we agreed," Carter confirmed. They shook hands, not enemies anymore, but not quite friends. Partners. The new order. Where Sean's fortress once stood, construction crews built something else. A community center with bright walls and glass windows. A playground with slides and swings, basketball courts, a library. The kind of place that gave kids hope instead of nightmares. The sign above the entrance read, Kate Page Foundation, a safe place for every child. The grand opening drew politicians, community leaders, and families from across the city. Cameras flashed as Carter cut the ribbon, Kate standing beside him in a new yellow dress, her choice. She'd wanted yellow again, reclaiming it. She held his hand throughout the ceremony, not letting go even when other kids invited her to play. She was still working through what happened. Night terrors, separation anxiety. But she was healing. "You okay, sweetheart?" Carter asked quietly. Kate looked up at him with those serious 5-year-old eyes. "Are the bad men gone?" "Yes," Carter said. "They're gone. Forever." She nodded, then finally released his hand to join the other children on the playground. Carter watched her go, Vincent standing beside him. "The families are talking," Vincent said quietly. "About what happened. About what you did." "Let them talk." "They're saying—" Vincent paused. "They're saying no one touches your family, ever. That Sean Evans started a war he couldn't survive, and it changed everything." Carter watched Kate laugh on the swings, the sound carrying across the playground. 3 months ago, she'd been terrified in a dark warehouse. Now she was playing in the sunshine on ground where that warehouse used to stand. "Good," Carter said. "Let that be the lesson." In boardrooms and social clubs across the city, in quiet conversations between made men and soldiers, the legend spread. Never touch Ghost's daughter. The last man who tried united every family against him, brought down 80 soldiers in 90 seconds, burned an empire to ashes, and built a playground on its grave. Carter Page was still a monster in an expensive suit. But he was Kate's monster, and that made all the difference.